and we object to our government
Sure.
being in cahoots with the financial sector, and that the point is that we are growing as a movement, and we are outgrowing our space, and upsetting the chaplain and the nice people at the church is not what we're about. We're
For
about
me,
unifying.
I agree, but having that physical space is very crucial, because we don't have one otherwise. But secondly, I would just say very personally, as a Christian, the fact that we stand up, in effect, this movement stands for what should very much be Christian values, providing for the needy in systematic, effective ways. The fact that the church, and we've spoken to a number of men and women of the cloth in the last week, and they very much agreed with our position on getting vital services to people. And by the way, while people are listening to this, it's very important that we realise that it's economically as well as socially and morally necessary that we keep the investments that we need in health, education, etc. Because otherwise we have an ill population which affects GDP, and we have an uneducated population which affects GDP. So these are very important arguments we need to keep having, and the media often doesn't do a good job of representing those issues as well.
Just explain for us though why you cannot do this somewhere where you do not force the closure of a cathedral which tens of thousands of tourists come to visit, which through that puts tens of thousands of pounds of money into the local economy.
I think it's not us that's forced to close the cathedral, it's health and safety laws, and if we were given specific things that are wrong, we might be able to work through them, and if not, we'd move on. But as we've just been given one line, health and safety, we're all a bit concerned as to what the actual reasons are. We want a bit more detail, and if we can say, right, if it's to do with fire exits or whatever, we can sort those problems out. If it's to do with a more substantial thing about us all being here, then we can move on. But while we've been giving a sort of soundbite of health and safety, we don't know exactly why we've been asked to move on, and so there's a bit of confusion.
So if you could sit down with lawyers, with fire officers, and they explain this to you, would you then move on, or would you seek to persuade them they're wrong?
It depends what they say. If they say we need to move a couple of tents to make a fire exit here, then we'll say we'll move the tents, can we stay there?
Don't you think they would have done that now?
Well, they've been doing various bits over the last few days, and so they've been trying to accommodate us, so we don't really understand, after they've brought in fencing and stuff to one of the fire exits.
Yeah, just to clarify, it's important that listeners do realise that we have made a very significant attempts to make sure that all the exits and entrances are clear, that we have fire lanes, etc. If I ask anybody listening to come down tomorrow and talk to us and have conversations about how we can make this country and the world we live in a much nicer place.
The only permanent blockades here are the ones put up by the police, and they're just behind us. Everything else can be moved very quickly.
Yeah, there is absolute freedom of movement.
If Jesus was alive today, he'd be out here. He wouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, for my